Men, what is the very thing you fear most? Is it being challenged? Is it being exposed? What if I told you that being seen is the key to saving your life? Today, me and Jay, we're going to tear down the lies that are keeping men isolated. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Welcome back, brother.
It's good to be back. It's
Been a minute.
Been a little bit. Since the last time, I turned 50, watched two of my friends retire from the military.
That's a good way. We're talking brotherhood today. So what better way to celebrate brotherhood than to go visit retirement from a very positive military career, I'm assuming?
Both. Both very good. One a pilot. Actually, they're both pilots. One Marine Corps, one officer. Or I'll just do that again.
Officer and a gentleman.
Yep.
Well, so we're going to talk brotherhood today. And Jay, I don't know if you've seen it. It's going around social.
Yep.
But what we're talking about is that really somebody needs these three friends in life. And number one is a truth teller, somebody that is no BS, going to hold you accountable, call you out if you're doing wrong. Number two is a confidant, somebody that's going to tell you the truth. And that when you tell them, they're going to protect it, but they're also going to counsel you, give you back some good advice. Number three, probably the fan favorite, is the ride or die.
No matter
what. Questions asked.
No matter what, let's roll.
They're going to show up. 3 a.m. in the middle of the night. Sound like you may get into trouble. They're just going to show up. Pull the car around. What else do they need to bring, right?
Let's go.
And that's the type of thing. But if you got a friend that does all three of these things, which is very rare, then you got a friend for life.
That's a unicorn.
That is a unicorn. I feel like I got a unicorn sitting right here.
And you're mine, brother.
Man, so we're blessed to have that. But I thought that was a very powerful statement right there, because those are the three things that really define what brotherhood is. And we're going to get into that. And really the secret behind this is that men need other strong men to save their lives. But a lot of men really fear strong men. So we're going to head over to quarter one, and we're going to talk about that. So after this break, we'll be back. All right, so here we go, guys. Here's the cold truth. Most men don't fear strength. They fear what it mirrors. In a world where every handshake feels like a power play, we armor up, mistaking vulnerability for surrender. And that's why brotherhood feels so far out of reach. So, Jay, why do most men fear strong men?
Actually, I think the beginning of it is the exterior. If somebody looks scary or whatever, and usually those are your nicest people in the world. But it's more of to show you got chinks in your armor. You're a little weaker. You're showing a little vulnerability, and to be mocked by that, to have your own manhood questioned, or whether you can be a good father or work or whatever you do, or husband. I mean, I think having to show that raw, hey, I make mistakes, I'm not great, but the weaker points in your life, maybe not your strong points.
Yeah.
And really being criticized for that, I think that's just a lot of fear in that, of being called out on things, and maybe not in a helpful way, more
So are you saying that on an appearance basis, if somebody looks strong or powerful or intimidating, that in itself is a block for somebody to want to have a conversation?
Unapproachable. Not going, you don't have the confidence or strength to, like, hey man, let's chat, or even have a normal conversation to lead into a relationship with that.
And kind of the strength that we're getting in here is again, there is definitely strength in appearance and physicality, but we're getting deeper into what actually makes a strong man. But do you think that maybe part of the reason that men won't approach a strong man or invite them into their life is that there's this competition, or they feel like they don't want to be challenged or accountable, or maybe bro's a lot better at life in certain areas than I got, and I don't want people to compare us. Do you feel like that's a barrier?
I think it's a gigantic barrier, and it doesn't matter whether it's strength or it's how well you coach football. I got a good friend that makes a great brisket. I've made 1 out of 20, I think, and it's it's a weakness for me.
Right.
I mean,
It's
I've got a lot
Yeah.
of weaknesses, but I mean, that's the one.
It's the Achilles heel.
Don't ask me to. I'll buy an expensive piece of meat and ruin it. We'll have brisket chili, but
It's a good chili.
I've got good friends that they have more strengths than I do, and even like in initial meeting someone, you can tell immediately that guy's got his stuff together. It's easy. Like the first time we met, I was like, that guy's pretty intense. And
I was thinking the same thing about him.
And but I mean, you're like, you're with me, and I'm like, oh, I'm with the strong guy. Let's go. We're the most two powerful guys here. We're gonna drive everything. And I mean, that's really and truly just immediately Cheerios in a milk bowl after that. But I think you have to be able to show that weakness and be comfortable enough to go, he knows I'm not perfect. And in his head, he's probably also saying, I hope he doesn't think that I got all my stuff together, because I don't either.
Right. Yeah.
Really and truly, no one's got it together.
Yeah.
Not one person.
The imposter syndrome.
Yep.
What about, so the ones that are putting on the imposter syndrome obviously see other men as competition or a threat to them, and in any aspect. So that's obviously a barrier of why men aren't seeking out other strong men to have them.
I'll say initially we size each other up. It doesn't matter.
For sure.
In the Marine Corps, if we were wearing our uniforms, it didn't matter the appearance you were. And outside the Marine Corps, size, visible tattoos, what your hair. If you can grow a beard, I can't.
Patchwork McGee.
Yeah, little Joe Dirt. It's all right.
Deer take.
Yeah. But I think initially, once you get past that, what we're looking at as far as appearance and what I think of you, how I size you up immediately, if you can like get through the manly whatever initial meeting, and then you have a couple good conversations, or maybe there's a good comment thrown out and you're like, hey, that guy's kind of funny, and then you can progress from there. Then it's less of a competition, and maybe I'm better at something than he is, or you're better at something than I am, and we can steel sharpen steel. We can get better together.
Yeah. And I think you're calling out the piece of, you've got to have a level of confidence. One, being authentic to yourself, but confidence of bringing in the other brother as
100%.
well.
You have to be able to take men too.
You got to look at their strengths as compliments to whatever you can bring to the table, instead of just everything that I do, this guy does better, and I don't want him in my life because everybody's going to compare him to me, per se.
Because everybody brings weapons into the arsenal.
That's right. They sure do. What about, so one thing that's very interesting is maybe somebody is very tentative to want to invite strong men into their lives. We'll call it a traumatic response. Maybe it was early in life. Maybe they had a father that beat them or was abusive
father,
to them.
stepfather.
Maybe they were bullied in school, and they just
high school coach.
Yeah, high school coach. Any male influence that had a negative impact, maybe in an abusive form, verbally or physically, that is a key barrier for why somebody's not going to want to.
I think it is. I would agree with you 100%. But I mean, again, that goes back to your confidence of wanting to move forward and wanting to be better. And we can only get better when we work together. So that recognition of, yeah, I've got this. I'm kind of afraid to be in groups of dudes because I'm worried about what I lack instead of what can I bring to this table and they can also help me with. I mean, there's different milestones you got to personally get in order to even kick this off.
And that's probably, in my opinion, of all the barriers that we got, and we got a few more that we're going to talk about, that one's probably the hardest one to get over, and one that we're not going to be able to explain in this podcast, because that root is deeper than anyone can ever imagine. And if you've gone through that, man, I really feel for you. But that is definitely a hurdle that's preventing other men from inviting strong men in their life. What about, this is where we're at today, and the social stereotypes or the social norms of what masculinity is. And it almost seems that all masculinity in general is just toxic, right? Like just being a man can feel like you're toxic, right?
I think we're starting to turn the corner on it.
I feel like we are, but for a while there, we had a good run of, if you were a man, you were pretty toxic.
Outspoken.
Yeah. If
he's
you,
loud. He's overbearing.
If you resembled strength
Right.
or anything like that, it would just
It was a threat.
it was a
Not-
threat.
Not an
Yeah.
addition. Not an
Yeah. If you weren't pillow
not an
soft and
upgrade.
you were
I'll
deep
call
into
it.
your feelings, then it was. But that is another barrier, is that you mentioned appearance in the upfront, that if a guy looked a certain way, immediately they were toxic, right? If a guy took care of his body, then obviously that guy is a meathead and we're not going to approach that guy.
Right.
That's how society is, but that's a key
The
barrier
best-
of why
the best
men
part-
aren't.
The best falsehood of that, I know some very large, strong dudes that cannot fight. So it doesn't. So size does not matter
Yeah.
when it comes to that. I mean, I've seen some small dudes that can roll with the best of them.
We've all heard my story.
Yeah, and watch out for the guys with cauliflower ears.
Do not mess with the cauliflower ear,
Mm-mm.
guys.
No, sir.
So that's a real kind of barrier to entry per se. So we're going to move into the second quarter, and we're going to keep things moving here. So we touched a little bit on it in the barriers, but what truly defines a strong man? And kind of got a little quote here that I'm going to read to you. We've turned strong men into walking paradoxes, expected to dominate boardrooms yet nurture babies, swallow trauma yet lead with empathy. Until we redefine strength beyond stiff jaws and still abs, men will keep mistaking isolation for invincibility. Isolation for invincibility, which is a very common myth, that if I keep to myself and I handle everything, we've talked about that in our first episode today, that everything's going to be okay. But a true man is defined not by physical prowess or dominance, but by purpose-driven character that uplifts others while relentlessly pursuing growth. So, Jay, we have a list of what we've put together, our top 5 characteristics of what defines a true strong man. And we're not going to cover all of them. There's a lot more out there, so feel free to drop that in the comments.
This is just ours.
Just ours. Jay, drop them in, drop some knowledge on us. Where are we going to start off today with quality?
I'm going to lead with your mission-oriented leadership. Your main focus, your main goal. Marine Corps, they have 2. Mission accomplishment and then troop welfare. Sometimes we put troop welfare a little farther ahead of mission accomplishment. Sometimes it falls a little farther down on the priority scale. But having the confidence to make a decision, not everybody has the answers. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But rolling with it and coming up with solutions and rolling with it. So being able to say, hey, that wasn't the right call. I messed that up. But here's where we're going from here. Just to continue to lead. If you make mistakes, everyone makes mistakes, but being able to go, I messed up, we're still rolling. And that's gigantic for me, but a larger one, and this comes with age. When you go out of, I'm worried about me, I'm the number one thing in my life, and then you have kids, and then you're like, all right, now I need to kind of adjust because I'm worried after I'm gone, what the stories are going to be said when the legacy, right? Like when my son is in a group of other men when he's my age and they're all sitting around a campfire and they're like, well, my dad was like this and he did this and it was terrible. And is my son going to go, my dad was great? Or my dad was hard on me, he expected a lot of me, but we had a great relationship and we drove forward with everything. And I think that's huge. It's going to be huge. I'm not saying it. They're saying it.
Huge.
I think it's important that that goes into your thought process when you're how you act and how you conduct yourself.
I like that. One of the notes that I had here is it's protecting over being controlling. But there's a fine line there, and I've caught myself into that and heard it even from my own wife. And hey, this is controlling, and when you have somebody spit it back to you on how you did it, you're like, yeah, that absolutely sounds controlling, but you did it as a protector. Yeah. And that's a fine line of how are you going to actually make those tweaks to actually be more in the protective category than controlling, because it can be a very fine line.
It's a misstep.
It's a misstep.
And then you go, all right.
But you learn from it. And then you lead with humility, and that leads into legacy. We mentioned it in an earlier episode, but quote I saw, and I can't unhear it, but it was there's only so many few years left if you have younger kids where they're about to start having conversations about what it was like to be raised by you,
Mm-hmm.
and that really hit home to me as probably any dad out there. So we're going to move on to number 2. Another characteristic is faith fueled resilience. So last episode we talked about mental toughness and resilience. So kind of a key theme that we have here is resilience. Is once you get punched in the face, how are you going to continue to move on and make really good decisions?
It's how you get back up.
It's how you get back up. But I always love the opportunity to invoke scripture here. But I love Hebrews 11:1. Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And really what that means is just having faith that even the bad situations, it's all for a reason, whether it's growing you, it's strengthening you, it's a season, it may be taking you to the next level of leadership. It's having that assurance that, man, this season's really painful, but I know on the outside, when I come through it, I'm going to be that much greater. I'm going to be able to help somebody along the way. Why don't you move us on to number 3?
With discipline and grace, but not only how you treat others and how you deal with others, it's also how you deal with yourself and how you allow yourself to make mistakes and move forward and grow. Don't center on one thing and just, oh, this is it. I messed up. It's over. It's you can come back. You can roll through things. You can drive through. Sometimes with the help of your brothers to help pick you up. But I mean, honestly, that's to me, as long as you can be honest with yourself and roll forward, then you're going in the right direction. Forward progression.
Yeah, and if you've noticed this, the true strong men in this world,
Mm-hmm.
they have a way of wearing that bravado, yet it's easily approachable. They draw the energy into the room, but they have this appearance that's like I don't really see why people like everybody should be scared and intimidated, but it's actually a reason to draw them in because it
Mm-hmm.
does at its surface it just doesn't make sense, right? Like
Right.
he could crush anybody in here, yet he's probably got the gentlest soul, but yet he could still crush anybody in here. Like that's to me, that's the discipline, grace, and that's a good tip in parenting as well. It's you got to know when to push and
Right.
when to lay the hammer down, but you've also got to pick them back up.
You got to build them back up because, I mean, if not, those are those stories I'll tell later on.
Those are the ones you don't want, for
Yeah.
sure. Here's one, and it's going to get to the point of what we're getting in. But characteristic of a strong man is a real brotherhood architect. And these are the types of guys that can assemble 3 to 4 ride or dies, or as we mentioned, any one of those 3 characteristics or all 3 in one. But they're really building a network of brothers that are going to just really provide true, raw feedback in life. And these guys that they've curated together have all the skills and let's just say they're good human beings in making a very contribution to society.
That's a pretty important aspect of it. I mean, they have to be good humans.
They got to be
but,
good humans.
But again, like I said before, Cheerios in a milk bowl, we tend to float together, those like-minded individuals. And I think that's where people that are good human beings, good fathers, people that are family first, I think we drift together because we're like-minded. Somebody might be on left side or right side. It doesn't matter because in my neighborhood, we have left side and right side, but we all have the same mindset. So we easily hang out together. And I think I'm very thankful for it. But I mean, you create it.
Yeah.
You invite them.
You invite them. And I love if you read in scripture, book of James, chapter 5, it really talks about kind of what this is. And it's, therefore, brothers, if you confess your sins to one another. And that's a really strong statement. And I'm not here to preach to you guys. I mean, really what I'm getting at is it takes a lot for a man to go to another brother and say, here's what I've done, or here's what I'm currently doing, and I can't get out of it, or there's no explanation of why I'm doing these things, or why I continue to do them, but I don't want to do them. Or maybe it's you're confessing what you're doing, and that's where having that group's important because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to hear some really ground truth. I mean, you don't want that guy that's like, yeah, man, yeah, hey, keep cheating on your wife because I'm
Yeah.
doing the same thing, right? You don't want that guy.
No.
You don't want that guy in your huddle.
It's that aggressive response. It's truthful. Sometimes it is meant to hurt you, but in a good way. So it feels like, hey, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I know we joke around a lot,
But-
but at the same time, I'm trying to get a point across.
Yeah, and you're stepping out of line. Yeah, and I think that's the quality of a strong man is they know they need that in their life. And we're all going to make mistakes and we're all going to mess up big, but it's being able to say, being man enough to own up to your mistakes and then receive that feedback that you're going to get. So
Exactly.
a strong man is willing to kind of put that circle into play. Last one is, we'll call it balanced power. And you can look at this at a same way. I love the social memes out there. It's like dads working out and staying fit
Ooh.
well into their 40s and 50s. And
I
it's
love
like,
it. 50s.
still got to be a threat. And I love that. Like, still be a threat. Like, people need to know that you're a threat, whether it's just based on appearance or the way you hold yourself.
Whether you carry yourself, the way you walk confidently.
Because at the end of the day, we're leading the pack. And people need to know that if they mess with us, if they mess with the head of the family, that they're going to get a whooping.
It's over. Well, it also protects your family from anybody that might try something.
Yeah.
As many times they've interviewed criminals from the past, and it's why they had predators tried to seek on certain family members and why they didn't. And the reason why they didn't 100% of the time was because the father was confident and the father was president and the father looked like a threat.
Absolutely.
I identify as a threat.
Absolutely. So you gotta identify as a threat and you gotta be a threat. So that's why fitness is important. That's why you've got to wear that in your appearance. But even if you don't have that, I mean, there are ways that you can get that. One, strive to do that. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
But beyond that being balanced, stay curious. Don't be a know-it-all, right? So now we're going to knowledge and intelligence. Like, even if you have high IQ and you can unlock any code in the world, whatever your strength is, I always love the people that I know they know more than me and they're just asking me all the questions.
Right.
And I'm
Just
like,
to
can you
see what I
stop
respond.
asking me questions and like pretending like you're interested, even though they're truly interested, right?
Right.
Like, that's those qualities. Those are the types of guys that just really bring a room together.
Knows the answer to everything. Maybe he's heard the story 3 times.
Yeah.
And it's still like, no.
Yeah. No, but
What do you
I
think
like the
about
way you
this?
tell it.
Yeah.
No,
No, yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's also the willingness to not, that's again your balance, the willingness to not just dominate everything. Everybody gets a part in it. Everybody has a shared piece in it. I'm not giving it to you. You got to earn it. But at the same time, allowing everybody to have a seat at the table.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've always, some of the strongest leaders that I've ever been exposed to, they really had that. And I've gone in the room and be like, why did you let so-and-so say that knowing that he was wrong? And you knew that he was wrong. It's like, well, that's going to be a growth area for him. And his wrongness was a very low risk, right? It's not like we were making hard key decisions. Like, that was an area where that person's looking at them as a test, a lesson, an experience, and they just see so far down the road that people in the moment, and I've been in that many times, all you can see it is just the right,
the acute, not the chronic.
Correct. Yeah.
And with that, not immediately jumping in, you're building confidence because later on that guy's going to be like, I knew I was wrong. This guy knew I was wrong, but he let me roll and didn't embarrass me or anything in front of me. You know, praise in public, punish in private. You know,
Yeah.
Many times I've had some of my best and senior enlisted guys in the Marine Corps would let me roll and just destroy things. And I was probably wrong a couple times, maybe once. I don't know. I may have not always been right, but I was never wrong. But but they would let me go destroy things, and they didn't want to destroy my confidence in what I was doing. So they, and stood behind me, even though I was wrong. And then later on, pulled me aside and went, hey, absolutely not. Never do that again. But in the moment, they let me do it, and they built me up, and in turn, like the confidence I have in the relationship with that person to prove that they weren't trying to put themselves forward as the corrector. They were trying to build me up. And that's pretty key, to not be selfish enough to put somebody else up.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like that's one of the and maybe it is written, but unwritten military laws, like don't correct them in public, have that conversation in
Yeah, I'd
the.
love if that was written there, but it's
It's
not.
not.
We've
It
got,
definitely. So there's a lot of that going
unfortunately, just like the regular
on. Sometimes you
civilian
do need to be
population,
corrected in public.
you got snipers out there that
You
just
do.
want to prove that I'm right. Look at me in the middle of your meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot there, and I hope you've stayed with us. And we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to actually get into the brotherhood, and we're going to talk about the benefits of brotherhood, share some stories about that, and then we're going to close by, if you don't already have this brotherhood, how to find out where that brotherhood is. Okay, so welcome back. Found this interesting statistic here, and I did the source fact checking, so you're welcome to fact check me on this. It's out there, it's valid, it stands up. But loneliness kills men faster than cigarettes. And then loneliness and isolation in men rival smoking 15 cigarettes a day, and it's double the impact harm of obesity. And that's from the American Psychological Association. They did a survey and research on that. 15 cigarettes a day. I mean, I've heard of some chain smokers, but that's some serious, right? Chain smoking. That's some serious damage to your health that we,
Right.
as men, don't really consider just keeping my problems to myself
As a comparison,
yeah.
just what you thought was, I'm just being the tough guy, just like my dad. I'm just holding it all in.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's got to go somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere. And then there's more statistics that back it up. I think you have a 30% higher risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer from isolation. And then another stat, since we're throwing them out there, is that 1 in 5 men have zero close friends, which that's really eye-opening. And
that's wild.
You've really got to, if you've been exposed to these individuals, you don't have to go very far to understand maybe it's trust issues. Maybe they don't have a very good social personality. They get nervous, whatever.
So but not really.
These guys are out there on an island, right? And that's tough. That's a tough place to be in. And Scripture says it best. Let us not give up our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another. And whether you find yourself as one of these people that is 1 out of the 5 that doesn't have a close group, and for whatever reason, if you are somebody that is a leader of a group and has a strong group, this is the time to pull them in close and
show your strength
and go find somebody.
Show your strength to be like, I know this guy he's not an extrovert. Like, I'll talk to anyone in the world. And there's other people that just don't. I have a couple of neighbors that, nope, I'm just going to sit over here in the corner. And I just pull them in. Come on, let's go.
And the way you pull them in, it's almost to the point of intrusiveness. But
it is.
You know that's what they need. That's what they need.
In the end,
they're
good with it. But
you've got to get past the initial barriers. So
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
You were doing stats. So military veterans, 22 suicides per day. And so some of that is post-traumatic stress. Some of that is combat related. Some of that is isolationism, though. And they lose themselves because they were this for anywhere from 4 to 30 years. They lose who they were because they used to introduce themselves as, I am this rank, I am this service. And then once they're done and the uniform comes off and that's where all their friends are, that's where they've trauma bonded with all their friends. But once they're on their own back home, it's like, I am not those things. And I think that's personally, I mean, I went through some of that when I retired. I was like, I am on an island by myself. And it's important to recognize it and go, okay. As it turns out, that didn't define who I was. But that isolation, I'm 22. So just want to throw that out there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a alarming statistic, but supports all the other statistics that we said. And so now that we've kind of laid that out there and the urgent need to this, let's highlight some of the benefits of why we need brothers in our lives to pull us out. And I'll start here with some of the core pillars of brotherhood, and what makes a true brotherhood is vulnerability and trust. It's being able to have those brothers that you can be vulnerable with and share these different types of things and know that whatever group that you're in, it's a deeper than just like, hey, it's your fantasy football and you're going to be on the group chat and
right.
really hose each other about your selections or pick at each other.
It's more than that.
It's much more than that. Now, you need that,
Yeah.
but this is, and you can have guys in your group that may go at a deeper level.
This is the interior core.
This is the group that's going to say, hey, the way that you came at me today with your jokes, you didn't seem as excited. What's going on with your brother? And
your tone.
Your
It's all wrong.
It's all stab you in the face with a soldering iron.
Gotta do it. We have to do a couple quotes. I don't care who we are. We cannot get through an episode without doing a couple quotes.
Your tone. It's all wrong.
It's my friend.
But you mentioned trauma bond, so I mean that's a key piece to the vulnerability, and
it is. And even if it's just the other person going through something, if at the end of the day you're there to listen, not judge, that's kind of huge. Not judge, realize that they're just a person going through stuff because you've been through stuff yourself. Just be like, okay, how can I offer solutions or just listen? Because a lot of times, like I said before,
huge skill.
We just suck it all in and just try to take it and try to hold it all in, but just letting somebody vent about anything, because you can at home, because I got to be the dad, I got to be the strong one, I got to be the husband, I got to fix everything. Do I know a lot about cars? No. Do I have to figure it out? Yes. So you just have to soak up all that and just not complain about it. It eventually eats at you. And to be able to, like, I can call you and be like, I just need to vent about this. Some of it's funny, and I use humor to try to vent some of mine, just to kind of let it go. But I mean, everybody does something differently, but I can call you, make a joke, talk seriously about what's really bothering me, and then make a joke. And again, you're there to listen, and that's huge.
Yeah.
It's a pressure release valve.
Yeah. I really learned a lot from you when I was kind of going through my tough season of life, is you never tried to fix me. And for one, that felt great, but then kind of give me a little self-reflection. It's like, do I really always try to fix people? Because I really like right now, he's not trying to fix me. He's just there to listen. Maybe I shouldn't try to fix people, because I think that's a natural just habit for men. It's harmless, but it does have an effect.
Because you we put our tool belts on and we're going to fix the problem.
Gotta go fix it.
But a lot of that is your fix or my fix may not be your fit. So, like, I can give you every idea or solution in the world, but a lot of times if we don't better to plant the seed and then somebody think it's their idea, and then it'll actually stick because it's their idea. You can't tell people to do something. Stop biting your fingernails until it's their idea.
That's right.
It works a lot better that way.
So you're eating the finger.
I've worked for a lot of officers in my lifetime.
So let's call out another core pillar. How about loyalty and dependability? Arguably, could have been number one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is getting back to that ride or die.
It is 100% without question. Hey, I need you. Bet. Let's go.
Bet. But it's 3 a.m. Doesn't matter. I'm reminded of the time when this sounds trivial at the time, but when you went on trial for your youth football coaching,
yeah,
and had to go before the board.
I was,
and initially I was like, man, I am way far out. I will never make it in time. I don't think I can make it.
How far away were you?
I was a good hour and 20 minutes away, and you're like, well, it's going down. No worries. I got this on my own.
Yep.
But internally, it ate at me. I was like, if something happens, I felt.
Because we were both ready to go to war.
Which
I had war paint on. I was ready to fight.
William Wallace.
Yeah.
Ready to freedom.
Getting it.
And we, as the story turns out, it was the easiest meeting in the world.
Well, honestly, like I was going in there by myself, and I was like, oh man. And then you showed up, and I was like, all of a sudden I had a confidence boost. I was like, my road dog's here. Ain't no way we can lose now.
And I sat there mean mug the whole time. You're like, dude, I think you can. It's over.
It's okay. And I was like,
all we dressed up for nothing.
All we did was talk about it. Like, oh, well, it turns out you are right. And you were like, it's like you had taken free workout and you were ready to go. And they were like, workout's canceled.
Four white monsters on the way over.
No fight.
No fight. It all relaxed. But that's the type, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the benefit of having the Brotherhood is those that are willing to show up in your corner and just show up ready, getting dressed up for something.
Yeah. And didn't know all the answers, just show up.
Ready to go. ready to go. What about another one is, and this was really good, is mutual empowerment. So a brotherhood is just not about coming in and taking everything or giving everything. It's about lifting each other up, and iron sharpens iron. You mentioned that
It
a
is.
little bit earlier, but it's just that continually, you know, when a brother's down, you know, when you got to build him up, you know, when a brother may be riding too high, and you know, when you got to temper expectations, but it's that
Yeah.
just balanced level of input that you get from a brotherhood.
And again, like I said before, everybody brings something to the table. It may not be the biggest axe. No, it may not be the biggest weapon in the arsenal, but it's a weapon that you can utilize. And you got to allow them to utilize it. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And
Not to put you on the spot, but coming from the core, man, you gotta have some pretty good brotherhood stories.
we've had a couple.
Just a few.
We used to destroy each other. We'd send a guy over to get a tool or mess with him or something, and they would, and this, you're talking like 40, 50 people in a shop, and they're all Marines, and we don't have anybody else to fight, so we're going to fight each other. So we'd send somebody over, and they would rough him up, or they'd catch him out on the line at night crew, and they'd rough a guy up. And I'm like, well, let's go. We're all going. We're going to take them all. And like 40 guys would go over, and we'd fight 40 guys. Everybody is wrestling. Well, I like punching each other in the face, but it's like a full-on make people tap, drive everybody out, do everything. But God forbid another squadron, another unit came anywhere close to messing with one of our guys, the entire squadron would go in a heartbeat. We were in Afghanistan, and we were co-located with a reserve unit, and we had a lot of bickerings within my squadron, and it was like drama this, drama that. And then New Year's Eve, I'll never forget it, their unit somehow got a whole bunch of alcohol, and they were out of control. And it started with our senior officer, senior enlisted with their senior officers, and it was just a scuffle. And then once my entire unit found out about it, we were all out there, and it was fighting. And their whole unit came out, and MPs had to come. It was great. It was a beautiful thing. But to show, and like afterward, my entire unit was never tighter. All the other stuff that was drama filled crap, nothing. But I mean, again, shared trauma.
It's your and I think it takes an evolution. I know it takes an evolution. I'm reminded of some of my best friends that are still my best friends today that have been there since like I was a kid, and it goes from simple things. I can remember just getting into college, and the girl I was dating at a time, we were sitting on the front porch, and I probably did something really bad. I can't remember, but she was just screaming at me and letting me have it, and it went on. Who knows? It seemed like eternity, and I just remember my best friend opening the glass door and rolling out a beverage along the floor, and it landed perfect, and just the sound of the rolling across the floor
Just
into
the
my
licking.
hand, and I just later I was like, man,
That was a first aid kit.
he's like, I felt like you needed that at the moment. I could see it on your face. That is just a simple example. I'm reminded of another time right after college, rolling with one of my very best friends, and we were at this it was this tavern or whatever. This big place could accommodate a lot of people, and there was just this packed night. I think there was a wedding party there, and we were rolling pretty deep with our college friends, a bunch of football players, and I don't know what he did. He bumped into somebody, said the wrong thing to the wrong person, but
Only takes one.
next thing I can remember, it was like both sides of the huge tavern that we're in are staring down each other eye to eye. And they've got about 45 people, and we got about 12 people.
Good
Probably
odds.
wasn't going to be good
odds.
for us, but we knew that at that moment it didn't matter, right? Like we were ready to just fight for one another. And it goes from simple things like that to where I think it really evolves in this stage of life. So where that was just, being young and tough and dumb, right, per se, but you were willing to risk it all for your brother. It's the same approach now. It's that friend that's calling you every day, that knows you have an issue, that's drilling that stuff out of you, even when you don't want to talk about it because they know that you need to talk about it. Or it's that
Just shoot you a good text.
shoot you a good text.
Hey, love you, brother.
Love you, man.
In case you didn't know it.
Yeah. Or it's that friend that's like, I love like I love this about you, and it's one of the greatest things that I ever realized is like you've got this house, right, with all these rooms, and there's three of you.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, why do you have all these rooms? He's like, you never know when a brother's going to need it. And the people that have come into your life through different experience and past experience that have used that open room, and they just come in and then they do what they need to do to fix themselves and they're out, or they do what they need to do to get to the next level, then they're out. And I never knew I'd be one of those people that needed to utilize a room. And it was so
You never
perfect.
do.
Yeah, it's just like you never do until you know that you need it. And
we do that, and we've probably, my wife and I have done that for the better part of probably over 20 years, where whether it be military people transitioning in, transitioning out, they don't have a house or they sold their house, or maybe there's some marital issues and they need to be separated for a little bit, or maybe you name it. Somebody can't pay rent, or we had a guy who was, divorced for a while. Wife was raking him over the coals. He had nothing. And I was like, just live here, man. Every once in a while, buy a steak.
See,
other than that, we're good.
You don't know when somebody's going to need that room.
No.
So I thought that was really perfect. And that's thinking in advance of the brotherhood well before somebody needs it. Like that's a rare skill.
We've just always done it. I mean, that's just the way it is. You can sell it as we need enough for family, but the chances of my twins coming down and all staying with me forever is pretty slim. So I think
admirable.
it's honestly, it's taking care of everyone. It's having room. We have a lot of barbecues though. So a lot of it is just stay.
Which is advancing the brotherhood. Is thinking about it before you need it.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a little break, and then when we return, we'll talk about where do you find this brotherhood if you don't already have it. All right, welcome back. We're going to close things down in Q4, talking about where do we find the brotherhood if we don't already have it. And we mentioned it before, brotherhood isn't about perfection. It's really just about showing up. So how do you find your bros? How do you find your squad? And the easiest part is really it's right under your nose.
Yeah, it always is.
It always is. For the majority of people, right? For 4 out of 5 that have close friends, it is putting yourself in a space and being vulnerable, right? So now you have these close friends, but have you ever really opened up and shared your issues with them, what you're going through? And that may be why they're not. You may not be the guy they're going to call. They'll be like, hey, man, I'm not going to call Jay because Jay's surface level at best. You're never going to unlock that crate, and there's no sense of pouring yourself on, your issues on him because he's just not.
I'm not going to reciprocate. He's not going to reciprocate.
Yeah,
so.
That's not the type of guy he is, and that's not who Jay really is. It's just using Jay as an example. But what are your thoughts on that? With the
vulnerability is one word for it. Just being able to expose yourself, not like that, to expose your weaknesses. I'd say another part of it is being open enough to listen, being open enough to have empathy for somebody else going through something. Again, you're not trying to solve the world's problems. You're just letting somebody vent, provide maybe a solution or two. For the most part, being there and letting them get off their chest. That starts a lot of things. No bro starts that way, because if it starts that way, usually there's some red flags there. Yeah. But initially, banter, back and forth, fun things, go do some barbecue, go to the lake, coach a football team together.
There you go.
But that eventually pulls into, because it evolved with us as we're coaching, just like, man. And we just would talk about work, family, whatever was stressing us, and being able to also listen to someone else helped me, because I know I'm not the only one going through this. So
we all are.
That's the biggest thing, is realizing you're not the only one.
Yeah, that's crucial. And pro tip, being vulnerable is one thing, but if the problem's always about you all the time and you're just emotionally dumping every time, and you're not giving feedback or support or listening and not trying to fix, if you're just always dumping problems, Yeah, people don't want that either.
Oh,
Right?
you're an energy beating.
You're an energy vacuum. So don't be that guy, but so treat it with balance. You can't be one side where you're just gonna be locked up and keep everything to yourself, but you also can't be kind of the energy zapper.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one. So reach out if you already have that and you're not got that. Reach out to one or two close friends and just see where that goes. That's a challenge for you guys right there. All right, so Jay, what if you're that one out of the five that doesn't have a close circle, or
Okay.
let's just say you've moved to a new area and you don't know
Happened to me.
anybody? Yeah, and so what are you looking at? What are ways to find that brotherhood in your local area?
It's right near you. You can't pick out of a lineup who you think would be your bros. Not gonna happen.
Yep.
It's not gonna happen. It happens organically. It just does. People I work with, people I coached with, my neighbors, it's all right there. So, heck, one of my bros, I just met him at a concert one time, and him and his wife got along with me and my wife. And they started out and like, oh, they're our concert friends. Now they're our real friends. We see them all the time,
Yeah.
Jeff and Sophie. So, I mean, it's right in front of you. It's just, again, being open to take that step.
Yeah, I think it is also, you got to start somewhere, right? You're not going to deep dive into being able to share all these things
No.
with somebody you just meet, right? It's going to take, you're going to have to filter them. You're going to have to test them. You're going to have to really understand their true character and their values and who they are. And then those steps and those paths are going to lead you into, but I sometimes I think these things are fate and destiny. And
Yeah.
when it's almost like people will say when they meet their wife or significant other, when you know, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that with the brodom. When you know, brodom's not a good word.
No, not really.
But when you know.
It was effective, though.
Yeah, it was effective. You got it. Sounds too familiar.
Maybe don't
like
use it
like
again.
another word. Yeah. So, but go ahead.
I start it, schedule it, have a barbecue, have a get together, meet, go play top golf, go something. I'm terrible at golf, but I'll go and make fun of stuff.
One thing I want to touch on, and another great area is, I know it's the thing that's always being pushed if you go to church. It is small groups, and I want to speak to that a little bit because you hear small group this, small group that, and it gets annoying. But there is a lot of truth in the small group, and I would highly encourage you to attend a small group if you go to church and you're questioning whether you should go. But the challenge is going to be is one, test it out, right? Find one that you're comfortable with and one that you feel like, hey, these are people that can probably share some things or can help me with. But uh, a lot of people in these small groups, they kind of just go for their interest, or they go to play golf, or they go, and that's a good hook and that's a good lead in. But then that's as deep as they'll ever go. They're just basing their squad on interest, and it's just interest leading the way rather than actually finding somebody that can be the iron to help sharpen you. But the other thing too is people may have a bad experience in a group, or they've been shunned or burned, or somebody didn't hold something in confidence. And I get that. And I would say, hey, that's not an area that you want to go to or be exposed to. But once you find the people that you can put that trust in, stick with that squad, right? Like
Yeah.
that's who you need to, because then that squad becomes somebody that whether you meet on a weekly basis. I got a group I meet every Friday with. We've been meeting for almost, sounds crazy to say this, 10 years.
Yeah.
And we've all stuck together in the different seasons of life that we've all gone through in 10 years. We've all had really good times and we've all had really bad. And we've all been in a situation that nobody at that table thought that we would have been in, like really hard, tough life situations. And nobody ever thought that person was going to go through it. I mean, we've seen death, we've seen divorce, we've seen loss of child, we've seen it all, right? Like in those, that's just a small group of 7 guys that have stuck together for 7 years or 8 years per se. But like those are the life things that you just, if you don't have that brotherhood to walk through life, then how can you ever relate? How can somebody pull you out of the mud and the miry pit and all these things if you don't have that? So my whole point in that is it is an investment of time, but once you find it, stick with it and stick with them through the years, because you're gonna do life together,
Right.
and that's very important, because you just don't know what's gonna come next.
And then you always got a guy.
You always got a guy, and a guy that may have already been there before you and made a
Exactly.
bunch of mistakes that can help you not make those same mistakes. So I highly would encourage that, just for that. So don't be afraid to do that, even though that may sound cheesy or corny to do that. Or you can go the J way and create your own brotherhood by just inviting the entire neighborhood to a barbecue and doing it often. But I love that about you. Talk a little bit about that.
I've probably done this everywhere I've been, because like 3 years ago we moved here. We didn't know a soul. We blind moved here. Had never been here before. So, but everywhere I've always gone, I'm like, hey, we're having a barbecue at my house, and everybody'd come, and then we'd meet. Some people would come back. Some people fit in, some people didn't. It wasn't like you're not allowed back, depending on behavior. But for the most part, everybody's always welcome. We invite everyone, and from that point, a lot of times I have been accused a time or two of saying the things that
that other people won't say.
That people are thinking, but just won't say.
Right.
I try to use like humor in it though, and try to bring everybody in, because I am kind of an extrovert, so I tend to talk about things, and there'll be other alphas there too that are also extroverts. So then it gets a nice back and forth. But sometimes you'll notice that somebody is just kind of going along with the conversation and not putting in. So you recognize it, you change subject, you get to their strength, you bring it to the weapon that they brought to the table.
Yep.
And you let them talk about it and just be interested. That's it.
And that's referencing earlier, finding that person that needs to be pulled in.
Yep.
And they may need a friend to get them there to validate why they're here. And
enjoy them when they're there. They bring something to the table, I promise.
Everybody does. And that is a key piece, and that's what I love about you. The last thing, and we'll close this up, is I touched on a little bit earlier, but be consistent, right? So you find your brotherhood. Don't give up on it if these guys aren't who you thought they were and may not be a good fit. I mean, these are people that you're talking about sharing life with and secrets in. So you got to be a little bit guarded at first, and you got to build up the trust, and it's not going to happen immediately. And even those that are harder to trust, whether that's a self thing and you just don't trust people naturally, give it time, test the waters, let them show up for you. You show up for them. It's amazing when you complement each other in that space, how that bond forms and grows.
Exactly. And when you're like, hey man, I need this, I need help. And even if it's just come help me move something. That's the beginning.
Yeah.
Everything's just the beginning.
Yeah. And that says a lot. I mean, because, how many men out there have the truck and been called on their whole life to go move somebody, right?
Me.
Like, I'm in the anti-move anybody out stage of my life right now. I would rather pay somebody than help move.
Don't call me.
But there's a handful of guys right now, man, no questions asked. Show up with the truck and the trailer.
Let's go.
And the bad back.
Oh, I'm going to complain about it.
All right. So, guys, we've covered a lot today. I would encourage you this. I would reach out to one or two guys and just let them know that you got your, hey, I got your back, bro. Or hey, what's going on in your life right now? Or what's something you're not telling somebody that you feel comfortable saying? Like, reach out, check on a brother. Really, if there's somebody out there that needs to be pulled into the fold, do that.
I do this a lot with a lot of my Marine friends, and some just regular friends that I made in San Diego after I retired. I'll just randomly text, and don't be afraid to say, hey, brother, I love you. It's okay. It's all good. I just shoot that out, and everybody doesn't expect the large, angry-looking dude to go, hey, brother, I love you. And they'll just look at you and just be like, say it back. but really and truly, it lets them know I do care about them. I care about what happens to them, and if they need something, I'm there. And if I need something, I want to know I can call you. You know what I mean? So I probably have 10, 15 guys. At least once a month, I'll shoot a text message. Hey, brother, thinking about you, love you, and that's it. And that's all it's got to be. But when something is needed, I know I can go, hey, bro, I need you. There.
Maybe that should be our next episode or additional episode of why we just can't say that as men. But
I do, though.
And that's what I love. And when you're not used to saying it, it comes back. You're like, you don't know how to respond. And they're like, yeah, love you too, bro. And then it's just like, man, I can't say
And
that.
then I make fun of you.
And it's like,
And I'm like, you say it.
then you're like, love you, man. Love you, man. And it's just, it catches fire and it goes from there. And it really fills your cup, man.
But that's that breaking down of vulnerability to be able to look at your brother. Hey, man, I love you, man.
That's it.
And it's a lot for somebody who's not used to saying that to a regular guy.
Takes a minute. Takes a minute.
You're
Get
broken
comfortable
in.
in your space.
You're broken in now. Thank you.
Yeah, I am. All right. Well, that's going to be a wrap for us. And guys, we appreciate you joining us through all the conversation. And just remember, when the father leads, the family wins. Appreciate you, Jay. We're
Bye.
out.